Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Chi-Town Sports Podcast. Ben and I have a lot on our plate today, and we're eating college football. The New Year's Six games, the playoff games, every single bowl game was announced a little over 3 hours ago. We're going to start off talking about Texas A&M. Were they robbed? Kellen Mond sure thinks they are, or they were, past tense, and he let us know on Twitter. Right after it was announced that Texas A&M did not make the college football playoff, he said, joke, all caps. He said, quote, Texas A&M has no quality wins. All of these SEC teams that are, quote, mediocre in the media's eyes would run the table in some of these other leagues. Only a few teams out of the SEC can really play in the SEC. I agree with him. The SEC is the best conference, hands down. What I saw from Florida and Bama was probably some of the best football I've seen in college in a long time. Two talented SEC teams. Florida had a fluke game against LSU, and LSU has 4 and 5 stars all over the field. So you can't call LSU a bad team, and you can't call that a bad loss because LSU is a ton of talent. And him saying only a few teams out of the SEC can really play in the SEC, I think is also true. Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, and Bama this year were really the blue bloods. No one really challenged them. LSU was ranked highly at first. They, of course, got that loss to KJ Costello and Mississippi State. Bo Nix and Auburn just had a terrible year. Bad enough for their head coach to get fired. I also want to touch on that, some possible replacements for the Gus Malzahn open spot. And I also want to touch on, Ben, did Cincinnati get robbed of the number 6 seed? Because I sure think they did. Let's start, though, Ben, with who you think were the top 6 teams, a.k.a. do you think Cincinnati was number 6?
I do think Cincinnati was number 6. It's really tough to me. Putting multiple 2-loss teams, especially in a shortened year where you played fewer games, putting 2-loss teams ahead of Cincinnati, even a 3-loss team in Florida. I know Florida's really good, and I think that they could have made the playoff if a few breaks had gone their way. But they didn't.
And Texas A&M, and they beat LSU. They're in the playoff.
But they're now actually they're a 7th ranked 3-loss team. That does not make sense to me. I don't think you can put an 8-3 team at number 7 ahead of an undefeated Cincinnati team and even an undefeated Coastal Carolina team. I think those two teams both got robbed by the playoff committee.
Talent-wise, I think Florida's a top 7 team. I do. And from what I've seen from Oklahoma's defense, Oklahoma is also a top 7 team. But I don't think Texas A&M is. I think Cincinnati is better than Texas A&M. I do not think Texas A&M is better than Florida. And I think Cincinnati and Oklahoma are pretty much equal. I think that game could go either way if they faced off. But that game is not going to be happening. Cincinnati will be playing Georgia, the second best record team in the SEC, behind, of course, Alabama. Georgia did lose to Florida, though, in Jacksonville. No, that's a lie. Texas A&M only has 1 loss. What am I saying? The 3rd best SEC team based on wins and losses. Florida is 4th, which is crazy. But Cincinnati, Georgia is probably the best game, would you say, Ben? Other than the 2 playoff games? I think
other than the 2 playoff games, I think we're all excited to see how Cincinnati fares. I think that Coastal Carolina got robbed this year. This was such a good year for them, and they've won.
They played their championship game.
I mean, they've beaten BYU, they've beaten Louisiana. That's 2 top 20 teams. Yet the committee is going to put them at number where they end up. They end up at number 12.
Yeah, and can I say something, Ben?
Yeah,
I completely understand. That these teams, like, there are quotas to field. The SEC has to play whatever bowl game. The ACC has to play whatever bowl game. But in a year like this, you can change that. And in a year where there are 3 at-larges, and so it goes the Orange Bowl is ACC/Notre Dame versus the SEC/Big Ten. North Carolina, Texas A&M. Everyone would rather see Texas A&M Coastal. Let's go to Oregon, Iowa State. Everyone would rather see Iowa State versus Coastal. Oregon is ranked 25th. Oregon is ranked 25th.
Me that Oregon gets into.
So it should be Iowa State Coastal or Iowa State. I don't know. Iowa, something like that. I would say Iowa in a Fiesta Bowl game would actually be pretty sick. At large, Cincinnati, Georgia, that's a good game. Oklahoma, Florida is another good game. I'm excited for that.
Oklahoma, Florida, I think is probably the best game of the
You
non.
think? I think it's Georgia, Cincy. I'll be watching both. And they'll both be exciting.
We'll
Let's
get to
move.
compare though, and we haven't gotten to compare conferences yet. I mean, it's hard with only in conference play, with like the one exception that's normally kind of a weak team. We'll see how it plays out though. I don't know.
Absolutely. Bama Notre Dame spread opened up at 20.5 in favor of the Crimson Tide.
That is very disrespectful, but
you think? I mean, the Florida Bama spread was 17.5. That was a close game. I watched pretty much the whole fourth quarter, and I was catching up on ESPN while I was doing my history final project. It is final season for Ben and I, so we are studying, and the content has not been as much as I'd like, and probably Bennett would like too. But Florida was in that game for pretty much the whole game. Kyle Trask had a heck of a game. Their D line at the end was really shutting down Najee Harris. For pretty much the whole first three quarters, Najee just exploded. But in those last, I'd say, two drives, at least the last drive, Najee Harris was held to like -2 yards in 3 runs. And I understand it's 3 runs, and Bama's just trying to waste the clock, so Florida is just stacking the box. But regardless, Najee Harris is the best back in college football. And no one can really argue that. He's had a perfect season, no bad games. Look at ETN. He got shut down. When Trevor Lawrence was out, he got shut down against Notre Dame, averaged like 1-point-something yards per carry, 18 carries, 28 yards, and 1 lone touchdown. So Najee Harris is the best back in college football, and he proved that last night.
And I want to shout out, Florida is a 3-loss team. I will never agree with putting them at number 7, but I think their offense is top 4 in the country. I
agree.
That offense with Heisman, I think he's not going to win. I think Mac Jones gets the Heisman, but I think Kyle Trask is a worthy Heisman candidate. Kyle Pitts,
sure.
Best tight end in the country.
If Florida had a running back like Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Kyron Williams, Chuba Hubbard, even though I think Chuba's overrated, Trey Sermon, hell of a game from him.
He had a great game.
They would be in the playoff, would not have lost to Texas A&M, would not have lost to LSU, and maybe would have beat Florida. They need that rushing game. Because Kyle Trask, Tony Grimes, Copeland, and Kyle Pitts are really some elite people to throw to. They have a decent O-line. Florida's never had crazy O-line. Ben, are you shaking? Are you okay?
I'm not shaking.
You're like, I could like very subtly. You're going up and down.
Oh, that might have been. I might be shaking my leg a little, but
maybe. Yeah, it's whatever. Clemson, Ohio State. Let's get back on topic here. This was interesting, man, because I had always thought Bama is going to take the Sugar Bowl, play the 4 seed in New Orleans, but Alabama took the Rose Bowl that is not in Pasadena, that's in Arlington. So Alabama is in the Rose Bowl, which sounds so weird. And then Clemson, Ohio State are going to be playing in the Sugar Bowl in Louisiana.
And that's a win for Clemson.
You think? I think that's a win for Clemson too. I think Clemson is the better team, and I think Clemson could actually beat Alabama.
I agree.
I think that'll be a great national championship game. You got Mac Jones, who deserves the Heisman, but I don't think it's the best quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence.
I think we all.
From what I saw from Trevor Lawrence yesterday, he's a future Hall of Famer. Like, that is locked in my mind. Unless he tears an ACL, goes to the Jaguars, or I think he'd even be a Hall of Famer on the Jets.
To call him a future Hall of Famer.
I think he is.
Joe Burrow looked like a future Hall of Famer last year. Just tore his ACL.
So that's what I said. I said if he tears his ACL, if he has a career-ending or season-ending injury. You know George Kittle's coming back next week, Ben?
Oh, I did not, but
that is an underrated thing. Pick him up in your fantasy league. He is picked up in our league. Kieran. So we don't like to touch on our teams too much, but we might here for a second. Semifinals, Ben has been out for a long time.
My team's good too.
I am playing against a good friend of the show, Will. He has not made an appearance, but Ben and I are both friends with him. And then Tim, who has been on the show multiple times, is playing Kieran, who I don't think has been on the show, but is also a close friend of ours. Tim watches all the shows, and Tim is getting walloped right now by 30 points to Kieran. And Will and I are pretty much head and head. It'll be close. Ben, okay, you're just on mute. Sorry.
I had muted briefly. Just there was some background noise. It's still going to be happening, but I will just say I'm going to note that my fantasy team on pace to score 145 this week, but I'm still going to lose to Brad's brother's team.
But it's consolation. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Anyways, Ben, I don't know if I should be saying this on the show, but when do you change scenery? Like, when do you leave?
December 23rd.
Okay, so after finals on Wednesday, or do you not have any finals on Wednesday?
After finals.
Okay, yes, I do have a final on Wednesday as well. This will probably be our last upload until Wednesday evening or Thursday, but Thursday's Christmas Eve and Friday's Christmas. Christmas, let's talk about the Christmas slate. We commented on college football. We got that out of the way. We moved through that pretty quick. We're only 10 minutes in. Let's talk for another 5-10 minutes. I do have to do some history work, and I would like to watch a good bit of the Bears game, but NBA, when does the regular season start, Ben? I believe it is the 22nd or 23rd.
The 22nd, I'm pretty sure.
Tuesday, yes, you were right. Warriors, Nets. Oh, wow. KD making his return against his ex-team.
I was watching the Nets preseason game against the Celtics, and the Nets are not a joke.
I didn't watch 1 second of any preseason game except for Patrick Williams and the Bulls clip.
Right now, the Nets are a fierce team.
They are?
Kevin Durant looks really good to me. Joe, oh my gosh, I can't remember the shooter. Joe Harris.
Joe Harris from Virginia, UVA alum.
And
proud UVA
Kyrie.
alum.
I mean, that team is Karis LeVert. That team, I think.
Clippers, Lakers, the other one, Tuesday game. Wednesday, full slate, Hawks, Bulls at the UC at 7 Central, 8 Eastern,
Hawks,
5 Pacific. And then Christmas Day, Pelicans, Heat. Didn't see Lonzo Ball. Might as well watch.
See Zion.
You get to see Duncan Robinson, Ben, Tyler Hero.
The Heat are fun to watch. I'll say that.
I actually feel so bad for the Heat and the Lakers. They've had barely an off season.
But they would.
Warriors, Bucks. Bucks will take care of business there. Nets, Celtics. That'll be a good game. I think the Nets will win, but that'll be
Celtics.
And the prime time, ABC game in LA. Mavericks, Lakers. I remember that game. It was Clippers, Lakers. That was a game. I flew into LA. We were driving to our hotel and we drove by the Staples Center while the game was going on. That was pretty sick.
I watched that game from a motel, driving home to a basketball tournament.
From Minnesota?
Luka Doncic this year, though, that is the betting MVP favorite at Williams Hill Sportsbook. He's poised for a big year, I think.
I think Katie could also come out strong.
The storyline. The MVP.
It is all about the storyline, and then Clippers Nuggets to end your night. Another good game in Ball Arena. I know that's probably a new name. I never know it was called that. And then on Christmas Day, is it Packers Saints? I believe it is. That is a good game. Am I right on that, Ben?
Packers Saints
on Christmas Day at 3:30 Eastern. I believe I'm right.
I do not know. So
because I'm sorry, but the NFL gets better ratings for a reason. I'd rather watch the NFL than the NBA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Football is just. Fall is my favorite season on the fact that it's football season.
The only thing that I think my favorite time of year is March Madness, but other than that.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. But March Madness is a month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and college football and NFL is like August 30th, September 1st or 2nd to January 11th. So, which is my brother's birthday, so I always remember it.
That is.
It's always on his birthday, even though Notre Dame and Oregon, his team is Oregon, my team's Notre Dame, has not made it in a few years.
I'm going to say this. Rutgers beat Illinois today in basketball.
I did see that. Illinois, oh my gosh. Upsets galore. They lost to Missouri. Missouri's actually good, though. Undefeated.
I think Rutgers is a top 15 team in basketball. I think Rutgers is quite good this year.
Well, that's not good for the maize and blue.
I mean, Rutgers coaches Steve Pickiel, that guy, he has come in and done great things. I'll say that.
Oh, Derrick Henry, 33 yards.
Touchdown.
Oh, and Danny Moran. Okay.
Greg's team is popping off.
I guess we don't. Ben, why can't you play football?
Brad, this is on the podcast, but I have final studying to do.
Okay.
A lot of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess it's gonna end the show. Ben and I just talked about our finals a good bit. Pretty dysfunctional podcast, but it is what it is. You know, we're focused on other things right now. Hopefully Christmas Eve. I'd love to do a Christmas Eve special. Talk about the NBA games and the lone NFL game on Christmas Day. That'd be fun, Ben.
Wait, real quick. What's going on in the Bears game?
Bears are up 30-20 last I checked. Mitch and David Montgomery are putting on
David
a
Montgomery
show.
is single-handedly beating me in fantasy today, which is it's fine.
If the Bears can spend some money on their O-line, spend some draft picks on their O-line, David Montgomery is a top 10 back in the NFL, maybe better. I've always been a David Montgomery fan. Through thick and thin, I have been.
On him. I did hate on him.
I've not been a Mitch fan, but I have been a David Montgomery fan. So if you call me a David Montgomery bandwagoner, you just can't because I'm saying it right here. But if you call me a Mitch bandwagoner, you can say that.
Mitch, I don't think anyone's jumping on the Mitch bandwagon anytime
soon. I think after this game, people might. Well,
I hope not.
Thank you, Ben. Really thank you, viewers. Share, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.